Hi and welcome back to our Laravel 8 tutorials, and in this tutorial we are going to be looking into blades. Okay, so let's go back to our project. If I expand this our project, we see now. Let's go back and run this our project. Remember, we need to enter into the folder and write PHP PHP artisan self. Let's go to our browser. Alright, so we are back in our website. Okay, now let's check if all our routes are working as before. So we see about us, contact us, services. Okay, so we are good to go. Now when we talk about blade, we are talking about this our folder in this resources folder. So we go to resources and views. Okay, now these views are the pages that are returned to the user whenever the user requests something from your website. For example, when the user requested the home, the controller is going to return back this home.blade.php. When you request the about, the controller is going to return this one. Okay, so these views, this is what we want to look about. We want to look at we want to go into these views and see and learn how you can use it. Okay, all right, so let's go to our home page. Now this is our home page. Now suppose you have something from your database that you want to show to the user. Okay, because when you are programming an application, you will not just be using just HTML and CSS. So there are times when you need to display data from a database. For example, a list of customers, a list of products, a list of items, all those things coming from a database. So you need to show them, and Blade provides you a powerful way of showing them. So for an introduction to Blade, see, the way you use to display data in your Blade file is by using double curly braces. Okay, so anything you have, anything you want to display will be displayed in this. This double curly braces is almost the same as as echo in PHP. For those who have been using PHP, when you want to display something in your HTML using PHP, you use echo. So but in this one we are not using plain PHP, we are using Blade. So Blade has its own syntax that you use to display or to do other stuffs that you use or that you otherwise do it with plain PHP. So the way to display data is by using this double curly braces. In this double curly braces, you can put in an expression. For example, you can have, let's say, time. Okay, time is a function that displays time. All right, so you see this double curly braces can take any function. It can execute it and return you the value which is displayed now here. Okay, so this double curly braces is used to display data. You can also use it to run expressions. So if I go to our browser and I refresh, you see it is giving us time in epoch. This time is called epoch time. All right, so we are not going to go deep into that. We are talking about blade. So but you can convert this time into real time. So you can just do some mathematics. So this one is seconds. This time you are seeing displayed here is in seconds. Okay, so you can just convert this one to hours or days and so on and so on. So I just wanted to show you what you can do using these double curly braces. Now suppose I have data that I want to display in my blade file. So I want to show you how you are going to return the data from your back end. So when you come to this blade is being displayed by our welcome controller. Okay, so when I come to welcome controller, now if I want to display data, for example, let me say I have data like this. I have a variable called name. Let's say I want to display this variable. All right, now this is my name. If I want to display this at the front end or in my blade file, I need to come here and pass this data. I need to pass this data to this blade file. Okay, and there are several ways you can do that. The first way you can do it is by including it in an array. So you give a comma here, you put an array. So you say I want to send name. This one is, you need to write it in. I want to send name, and the name is this name variable here. So we say I want to send a variable called name, and this name's value is in this other variable called name here. So whenever I want to send this name, it's going to look for the value of this name and come and display it here. Okay, so now when I go to my blade, that variable is automatically made available in this our home blade. So I just need to come and write this variable name here. I'm going to write this variable name as a variable in PHP. So if I come and say name, so I just need to attach this variable sign here, this $sign in front of this my variable, because this one on the left is the variable you are sending, while this one is the data of this variable. Okay, so if I go to our web page and I refresh, he's saying undefined variable name. He's saying that name is undefined. Let's come back here. Oh, okay, I made a mistake here. This is an array, so the syntax for writing this array is you put an equal sign and a greater than sign. Okay, so now this an associative array. So it's saying this the name, and the property or the value of this name is in this variable called name here. So whenever this blade home is going to request for this name, is going to take the value of this name and put it in this name here. Okay, so if we go to our browser and refresh, so we see this name here is being displayed. Let me put that properly. Let's say, let's go to our home and say welcome. Let me remove that from here. Welcome name. Okay, so let me put that so that it show this is the name here. Okay, let me go back and refresh. All right, so this value that we want to pass here, it could be anything. It could be value coming from a database. So maybe this name could be coming from a database. It could be coming from anywhere else. So this is how you are going to pass it to your blade file. Okay, all right, so let me remove this. You see, suppose there's no variable here, you can just pass it directly here. Since it's just a single string, you can just pass it here. Let me add in something here so that it should have a different. When I go back, refresh, okay, you see the same thing happening. All right, so this is the first way you can pass data. I want to show you the second way you can pass data. You can come here, you use a method called with. Okay, use a method called with. You say you are returning this home.blade.php with this data that is here. So you just come here and give in name. This one you are going to pass in arguments, so it's no longer an array. So you are going to pass in arguments, and arguments are written using arguments are written separated by commas. So the first argument is the variable you are passing, while the second argument is a value of this variable. Okay, so this with function takes in two parameters, or takes in two arguments, sorry. So let me pass in the data. Okay, let's go back to our page and refresh. Okay, you see it is correctly passing the data. Okay, remember here when you are passing this first argument here, there is no variable sign in front. Okay, so we are just passing it like that. But when you are displaying here, it's a variable, so it is displayed here, or it is made available here as a variable. So you need to put in this $sign in front of it. Okay, so that's basic stuff. Let's dive into more details concerning Blade. All right, so we have seen how you can display data back to your home. So you can use the compact, or you can put it here. There is another method. You can use the width. We can put it here. So there's another method called compact, but we are not going to see that here. Maybe we are going to see it in later videos. Okay, so for now, let's focus on these two. And I think as a developer, any of them can do. All right, so in this home.blade, okay, so this blade has so many syntax that you can use. So in this blade, you can define conditions. For example, you can render some data or some code depending on some value. Okay, so for example, now let's talk about if statement in the blade. So now, let's say I want to render something if a name is something, or render something else if the name is something else. Okay, so what you're going to use is you are going to use if statement, and the way you write if statement in blade is you use this sign and then you put if. Okay, so you open your brackets. So when you open an if statement, you need to come down immediately and just close it so that you don't forget. So in this blade, when you open an if statement, you must close it, and the way to close an if statement is end if. So you just need to come and put end and the name of the directive that you have opened in front of it. Okay, so anything that is coming within these two directives here is inside this if. So for example, if I say if this variable that we have passed here, name, if is equal to a certain value, let's say if it's equal to this, now I want to display this one here. Let's come and put it here. Okay. Let's say welcome. Okay, so if this name here is equal to this, let it display this one. Okay, so when I come now to my browser and I refresh, okay, you see it's displaying welcome, I know your name, because this name variable here, because this name here is equal to this. Remember what we are passing here, we are passing by this. Now suppose I'm passing something else. If I add this one here, you see it is going to come here and run this check. Is this name equal to this one? If this one is equal to this one, it's going to display this one. But if it's not equal to this one, it's just going to ignore all of this one. Okay, so we are going to see just this one here. So if I come and I refresh, you see you don't see the second one because the name is not equal to this. So you can write an else part in this if statement. Okay, so to write an else part is this same symbol, and then you write else. Okay, open your curly braces. Now this else means if this name is equal to this, display this. But if this name is not equal to this, that's what this else stands for. That if this name is not equal to this, do something else. Okay, so this, what I'm going to write here, let me put it in h1. Okay, sorry, okay, now it's going to come here and run this check. Say if this name is equal to this name, display this one, welcome, I know your name. But if this name is not equal to this one, it's going to come and display this one, sorry, I don't know your name. So let's go to our browser and refresh to see what happens. Now you see, sorry, I don't know your name, because the name variable is not equal to this name here. So this is if else statement. This is how you use if else statement in Blade. Okay, so these are just basic stuff. We are going to dive deep into advanced stuff in Blade in the upcoming videos. So if you are just tuning into the channel, consider subscribing to the channel so that you don't miss upcoming videos that are coming. Okay, so let's see the next directive that you are going to encounter in Blade. Now, in so many situations, you need to display a list of data. For example, you have so many customers in your database, you need to display them. So how do you do that? And there are times when you don't even know the number of data that you have in your database. So you are just going to use a loop to loop through all the data that you have and display them. Okay, so let's come here at our controller and let's add a list of customers. Okay, now let's go to our services. Now let's add a list of services controller here. Let's come here, let's add a list of our services. All right, so since we do programming, let's add a list of our services here. Now let me define a variable. We will call this services. Okay, and these services is going to be an array. Make sure you end it there. Okay, so this services is going to be an array of programming language that we do. So let's take a few. Let's say we do HTML. Let's say we do CSS. I hope you understand what an array is. So if you don't understand what an array is, you need to first of all go to and study a little bit of PHP. We have also made tutorials concerning PHP, and I'm going to leave a link down in the description below, so you go and check it out. You study PHP to understand what we are doing here. So HTML, CSS, let's add in JavaScript. Let's add in PHP. Let's add in Python. Okay, so let's take this few. All right, and remember how we pass data. We can either put it in an array here, but since this one is already an array, we can just pass it here. If we say services, is automatically available already in our services.blade.php. Okay, so to loop through that our list, we are going to use what we call a loop, and this loop we are going to use a for each loop. Okay, so we use a for each loop in this our Blade file, and in this the syntax of for, remember when you open a for each loop, you need to end it and for each. Okay, and for each. So in this for each loop, is going to loop to all our services and display them in the browser. So for each service as remember this in this our variable here, we call it services. For each services, as I'm going to explain what I'm doing in a minute. Okay, now it says for each services as service. Now this for each is going to pull in all of these services here, and it's going to say for each of these services in this services array, I want to call it service. That's what this as is for. Okay, so for each services as, I'm calling it service. I want to call each of these services, I want to call it service, so that we are going to access it in this our down here. So we are going to access in this for each loop down here. So for each services as service, so this is the array that we are pulling in. For each services means you should bring in all this array that we are passing in here, and I want to call each of those items in this array, I want to call them as service. Okay, you can give in any other name here. Okay, let's just say I want to call them as language. Okay, let me just call it lang for short. I want to call each of these services as lang, since we are passing in some technologies, some languages. Okay, so let me come here to display is, let's enclose this in an unordered list. UL. Okay, copy this, come here, paste. Let's get rid of this. So I want to define a UL here, and I want to list all these our services in this our unordered list. So let me define a list item, and this list item is going to be our individual languages. Okay, so that's all what you need to do to display all of this in your browser. If you go to our site and we go to services or undefined, possibly the undefined variable services, let's go and check what is wrong. Oh, okay, sorry. What we need to pass here is an associative array. Okay, so but that notwithstanding, let's just pass it here using the width. Need to come here. Okay, width, let's pass it the data here. Let's say the name we want to pass here is services. So the value is services. Okay, come back to our browser, refresh. Okay, now you see it is just listing all of them here. See HTML, CSS, JavaScript, PHP, Python, and so on. All right, and this is because we're defining. This is because of all this styling here. So it is affecting this our unordered list. Okay. All right. Okay, so this is because of our styling that we did up here. All right, so if you know CSS, you can just modify it. We don't have time to do that. All right, so this is just an introduction to Blade. This video is becoming long, so we are going to dive deeper into Blade in the next video. So in the previous video, I told you we are going to extract this, all of this and put in a single file. Because when you see from up here right down, you see that we are doing one and the same thing. Here in the home is the same thing, and in the contacts is the same thing. Okay, so we are going to define one file to host all of this, and we'll just be calling this from that single file. So if there's any changes to be made, we'll just make it in one place. Okay, so you might not know how important it is, but just imagine when your site becomes very large. For example, you can have 100 pages on your website, and you have a link or you have an information you wish to change. So you are going to go to those 100 pages and modify them, which is very tedious and time consuming. Now if you extracted all of this and put in just a single file, so you just go to just start one single file and change what you want to change, and that is it. So in the next video we are going to show you how to do that. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't, so that you don't miss upcoming videos, and we are going to see you in the next video. So until then, bye bye.